hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're back with something a little bit different. Yes, League Racing is returning here on F1 2021. This season we're going to be racing in WOR. We're in F5, the lowest of the non-assist leagues whatsoever here. I'll be honest, don't really have the same sort of time to practice for League Racing like I used to back in the day, so obviously don't want to race with any assists of course, but yeah, definitely don't have the pace that I once had on the F1 games as well there. But hopefully we're in for quite a good fun season here. Obviously not too much pressure on not racing in to a higher league there. I think we're in split 5 already for this season like I said. And we're actually in the Haas car as well. It wasn't really my choice, it was kind of what was left at the end of pre-season there. But for this one, this is actually round 2 of the year. Bahrain didn't really go my way, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, if you're watching this on my main channel, I'll be uploading the rest of the highlights over on my second channel. So make sure you get yourself subscribed there. And of course, if you're already on the second channel watching this video, obviously, yeah, make sure you're subscribed already as well. I'm trying to hit 500 subs on the channel at the moment. Again, if you're on the main, make sure you, click on the link down below. Exactly the same video will be uploaded this week. But yeah, this is where all my WOR highlights are going to be over the course of the year, of course. If League Racing is something you want to watch as well there. But so far this lap hasn't been too bad. This was sort of like my first banker lap here in qualifying. You can see that we are at Suzuka for round 2 of the year. And if there's one thing Suzuka's known for on F1 2021, it's the fact that it's horrendous to try and race on competitively. It's so easy just to light at the back end and spin the car. So many auto spin curves as well make it very difficult to try and navigate this track. So my aim tonight, obviously like I said last week, I actually binned it lap 1 in Bahrain there, hence why there's been no sort of full video on that. So my aim tonight was just not do anything stupid. You can see our first bank lap there was about a 1 minute 28.8, so not too bad a first lap, but there was definitely sort of close to another second, I think, left on the table ready for me here in free practice, or qualifying, sorry, even I should say. So I'm going to go out for a second run later on in the session here, see if we can try to improve once more. We're actually going to go for another run on this first set of tyres there. Originally, obviously, only 3 sets of the soft compound tyres for qualifying sessions. So I thought we'll do a second run. You know, obviously that first lap was a bit of a banker, and as we head back down in towards turn 1, they're just a little bit wide that time around through turn 1, clip the curb through turn 2, and that's just how easy it is to spin at Suzuka here on F1 2021. We're going to try and let the Mercedes go past there, as you can see coming through turn 1, and they've done exactly the same thing. So yeah, mistakes are certainly going to be commonplace over the course of this Grand Prix tonight. So easy just to overstep the mark as you try and find the limit of the car as well here. But later on in the session, we're going to try and go for one last lap ditch attempt here. See if we can try and move our way up the order. We're starting P12 at the moment, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Of course, the soft medium is the strategy to go with here at Suzuka as well, of course. So yeah, maybe we could do a medium soft. We could try and move ourselves up the order later on in the Grand Prix. Not the easiest track to overtake at as well. I think, yeah, we were really just waiting for other people to try mistakes over the course of the Grand Prix as well there. But yeah, heading out though onto our final flying lap of the session here. You can see already a 10th up as we head through turn 3 and turn 4 here, just finding more and more time as the car's got a bit less fuel in there. There is obviously just much lighter as we head up through Dunlop though. Just get a snap of oversteer there, just tip a wheel on the grass, and somehow that didn't rip a wheel off. But that is going to be us at a qualifying here at Suzuka, so it is only going to be P12 at the very best there at the end of the session, which is not really ideal. But again, like I said, not coming into this with too much pressure on myself, so yeah, not going to lose too much sleep over that at the end of qualifying there. But yeah, that did leave us actually 12th in the end, 1.2 off pole position there. So like I said, easily another second on the board. We could have probably found ourselves sort of 4th or 5th at the end of qualifying. But if the field spread is quite close, you can see we've got Callum, for example, in 10th on a set of these medium compound tyres there as well. If the field spread is quite close, we should be able to stick with these guys, try and go for the alternate strat, and yeah, really make it work later on in the Grand Prix there. Game doesn't actually believe it's possible, but yeah, that is what we're going to be going with here, ready for this Japanese Grand Prix. Like we said, round 2 of the year, haven't got any points on the board so far, but again, the key is just keep it clean, keep it tidy, and I'm sure by the end of this race, we will be able to move up the order there, as long as I don't make any stupid mistakes or spin off any auto spin curbs as well. But as we head out of the final corner then, ready to start this Grand Prix, like we said, going to be doing the medium soft strategy over the course of the race here today, and yeah, very excited to be jumping into it. Just, yeah, I still always get that little bit of butterflies in your stomach going back to League Racing as well. But turn 1 can be a bit chaotic here at Suzuka as well, so let's hope we can keep it clean and tidy as we head in towards the first corner here. But 12th on the grid, let me know down in the comments below where you reckon we'll finish in the Grand Prix here today. Oh, Jeff just getting cut out there as well. Love to see that. F1 2021 Online is clearly better than I thought it was. But 5 red lights here at Suzuka. It's going to be lights out, and away we go there. Off to a pretty okay start, actually. Much happier with that than we do against the AI a lot on F1 2021. But as we head down in towards the first corner, just going to try and keep it nice and tidy there. We've got Catalogical having a look around the outside there. Get a huge wash of understeer through turn 1 there. I did apologise to him after the race about that one there. No intention of completely running him wide there. And yeah, a little bit of contact between the pair of us. We did both get away with it though. So not too much to worry about there. As you can already see the Red Bull of Gramesy just in front of us. They're lagging around a little bit as we head up the hill on this opening lap of the Grand Prix there. As we head up now through Dunlop and in towards the Degners for the first time here. Just trying to keep it clean and tidy. Just do not want to lose my front wing on lap 1 here. I've tried to come into F1 2021 with a bit more of a conservative mindset approach to league racing as well. There's the Red Bull and the Williams get all very up close and personal out of the hairpin there. You can see Deer Hunter, big dump truck of wheel spin on the exit of the corner there. So we're going to try and just watch the Red Bull sneak past him here. Save our ERS, not the easiest track to try and save up battery as well, but we have kept it clean and tidy off the start there. Just that little bit of contact with the AlphaTauri, but no damage, no places gained, no places lost. But yeah, we've kept up with the field in front of us here, and I think that's going to be the key early on here, is just balancing the battery usage, making sure obviously we're staying in the DRS of the cars in front of us as well here, as we head now down through 130R for the first time there. The Williams getting very out of shape on the way in there, clearly not working out his reference points there, as we're going to be the man to take the bollards out of the final chicane as well. But it is Limpjet who leads the way at the end of lap 1 here, and now hopefully we're just going to try and settle down into rhythm here. But it wasn't long before the mistakes were starting to be made from the other drivers as well. This is actually going to be the cars behind us early on that do make the mistakes and find themselves in the gravel here. I think first of all, only on lap 2, it is going to be one of the Aston Martins here. Not too sure if it is a VSF fan. No, it's Catalogical in the AlphaTauri that's gone round, in fact, on lap 2 there. So an early mistake from the AlphaTauri. I'm sure not what he wanted to do in this Grand Prix as well there. But unfortunately, yeah, no places gained for us. But it does mean we're under a little less pressure from the guys behind as well. And I think if, we can try and focus on the guys in front rather than worrying about the guys behind, that's probably going to help us out a lot early on in this race. They're on to lap 3 though, again just running a little bit deep in towards the S's here, but that time round it is AVS fan who has made the mistake there, if I'm not mistaken. Jezzy now moves up into P14 here, but yeah, just trying to race sort of within our limits early on. I think, slowly build up the pace, don't try and get too much out of the car early on, sort of make mistakes, pick up some warnings, everything like that. Want to be nice, cool, calm and collected early on in this race. There is TTM Rossi behind us, picks up a 3-second time penalty very early on in this Grand Prix here. We've got yellow flags out. I think that's Jezzy. So both Aston Martins have made the mistake through the S's inside one lap there. So really not a good start to the Grand Prix that they would have wanted as well here, as we head now down in towards Spoon. You can see the gap to Deer Hunter just moving up to just over 1 second there. But I think, oh, look at that Deer Hunter. He's just clipped the inside curb in there and completely over-rotated the rear end on the exit of Spoon there. So our third driver to make a mistake on this lap, but it now does finally mean we are starting to make progress in this Grand Prix there. But now we've got a big old gap to Gramesy just in front of us here. 2 seconds really. We do want to be trying to stick in the DRS of the Red Bull car early on in this Grand Prix there. It was very lucky that wasn't a warning, actually, in hindsight there. We now got TTM Rossi who's made a mistake as well behind us, so it's all kicking off on the opening lap of this Grand Prix there, and now we're in a bit of no man's land. Everyone behind us has binned it, and we've just had to dodge a couple of the cars there, which has cost us a bit of ground to the guys in front early on in this race. So we're going to really just have to get our head down again. No mistakes, no errors, no attacking too much curb through this first sector as well there, and hopefully, yeah, we can try and move ourselves a little bit closer to the guys in front once more in the early stages of this race. It's such a psychological game on F1 2021, where those mistakes can be made, especially around a track like Suzuka. It is so unforgiving on this game. Feels a bit more like real life, I think that's why a lot of the real drivers do love this track as well. They just pick up a warning on at lap 4, our first warning of the day there, which I wasn't too happy with as well at this early stage of the Grand Prix there. Like I said, I was really trying to keep it clean and tidy with the warnings there. But now, 1 lap later, our teammate TLR10 has made a bit of a mistake as well there, as we head down in towards the hairpin. That's going to allow Gramesy and myself to close up there, as our teammate actually on a set of soft compound tyres there. Deer Hunter as well behind us still on softs as we've got a virtual safety car in this race. Not too sure what that was all about, but we're not going to worry about it too much early on. I'm guessing it was just where TLR ran wide. The game thought, you know, a lot of mistakes have been made early on there. I think that's the 6th car to run off the circuit here. But yeah, we will get quite a long VSC, actually, almost a lap around this circuit there. So we're going to just make sure we don't go under the Delta as we head out of Dunlop here. We're going to be about 3/10 up on the Delta. There we go. It is going to be green flag racing once more there. But yeah, rather surprised to see a VSC so early on in this race, considering I don't think anyone's had like a proper write-off. We've still got 16 cars in the running at this stage of the day. But on to lap 7, one more lap on. We are now all over the back of our teammates. A couple of guys now starting to make pit stops in this GP here. You can see all over the back of our Haas teammate, and I was really hoping at this stage, we wouldn't try and battle each other all too much. So I'm going to try and use a fair bit of battery. It's not going to be long, I think, before he needs to pit as well in this race. So we are going to try and slot up the inside there. No dramatics between the pair of us there. I'll make it very clear we are making the move work. Just about keep it between the white lines there. I think TLR thinks about coming back at us on the exit of the corner there, but thinks better of it. So we're not going to quite get a lot of the Haas dramatics that we've seen in recent Grand Prix in real life there. But you can see a couple more guys setting fastest laps there. TLR dives it in immediately as well. As Groundsy's still up the road there, rather quick on his medium compound tyres there. I mean, we got stuck in a little bit of the dirty air behind our teammate, and again, still just don't have any DRS at this stage of the race there. But yeah, making good progress, picking up some spots as well. They're now up to 6th place of this Grand Prix, but I think surely the question now is going to be whether we get a safety car at some point of this race. And now FRT Liam and Limpjet going to dive it into the pits, which does leave, I think, 3 of us on the mediums there. I think the leader, I want to say, is still on a set of soft compound tyres at this stage of the day there, and just 1 lap further on in this race. In fact, not even a lap further on. We're actually going to get a full safety car in this race. So not too sure who has been hit. We are 1 car down, but I think that was a disconnect. In fact, not an actual on-track mistake there, unless it is the Aston Martin that's currently abandoned in Sector 3 there. So I'm not too sure if that is AVS fan or the other driver there as well, but that does work out rather nicely for us at this stage of the Grand Prix. Doesn't mean we can quite follow the strategy that I wanted to go with, but does mean we get a nice quick stop where we can move on to a set of hard compound tyres to try and take us right the way through towards the end of this Grand Prix there. As we head through the final couple of corners, you can see Groundsy way back on his Delta, so not too sure what that was all about from the Red Bull man there, but we are going to peel into the pit lane right behind him here. Maybe we can get the jump on him in the pits if there was another car, but I don't think there is, unfortunately. I was going to say, if we got another car headed into the pit lane close behind him, maybe we could have moved up in front, but apparently not this time round there. So yeah, like we said, going to move on to a set of hard compound tyres, which should take us through to the end of the race. There are a lot of guys that have already pit, obviously already went on to hards as well, so they're just going to have slightly older rubber than us, but are going to be on the same strategy as well still at this stage of the GP there. But coming back out in P8 now of the race, so we have moved up a couple of spots. They're up now into the points of this Grand Prix. Is on to the end of lap 13 here now, pretty much at the halfway stage of the Grand Prix. Really trying to work some heat into the rubber here. I think it's something I've always struggled with on the last couple of F1 games, where it's just trying to get the tyres warmed up and into the operating window as well here. So obviously really working the rears, really working the fronts as we get ready to go racing once more here. We've got a lot of guys on some different strats in front of us as well. That Limpjet on the medium is going to be interesting to see how he fares off the restart, but just getting too optimistic off the restart there. We run into the back of Groundsy, pick up some front wing damage, and that is going to be a very, very amateur mistake there from myself. You can see he is lagging around a little bit after that there, and I did apologise to him. We both got a 5-second penalty for that one, but I'm not even going to try and risk it. We're just going to have to head straight back into the pit lane here off the restart in this Grand Prix there. So that has pretty much put pay to any decent result we could have got in this Grand Prix there. And of course we're going to have to serve the 5-second penalty as well, but I cannot believe we were that stupid off the restart in one of these Grand Prix. So that's going to be a whole fresh front wing, obviously the 5-second penalty as well as a set of the medium compounded tyres there to try and see us through to the end of the race there. But you guys know me, we never give up in these league races. There might still be something we can salvage on this one, despite being down in P15 at this stage of the day there. But yeah, gutted that we made such an amateur error there. You can see AMG Chris F1 in the Ferrari has binned it as well through the S's, so that is certainly still going to be something we see later on in this Grand Prix. But now we need to keep our head down, do what we did through the first stint there, Praying that we get another safety car perhaps as well. That was sort of a motivation that was keeping me going at this stage of the race there. Chris would dive it back into the pits at the end of lap 14 there. So we're not in last place anymore. We got TTM Rossi further out the road. There was 6 seconds worth of pens, but I think 20 seconds in 12 laps there, unless we absolutely push like crazy, is going to be a very, very difficult mountain to try and climb later on in this race there. TTM as well is going to have to dive it back in. He's also got a 5-second penalty, so I'm not too sure. As the team are now saying AVS fan up the road, his tyres are going to hit the cliff at some point in this race, so he's clearly made a mistake as well there for the gap to have come down as much as it has there, and he's clearly going to make another mistake in this Grand Prix there. I think the Aston Martin driver pretty much fed up with this one as well. They're down into P13 for him, up to P12 once more for us there. Is that the gap to Rossi has come down rather dramatically over the last few laps here, and you can see a couple of laps later, the gap's down to just 8 seconds here. So if we can keep closing up to him as we have done, we don't even need to make a move. We could just sit behind him late on in this Grand Prix there. But I think he has now made a mistake as well as we head in towards Sector 3 there. Very, very odd to bin it through 130R there by himself, but that is going to bring us a whole lot closer. We've got Levy as well into the pit lane, so we are actually going to be straight back up to the points here. Just 5 laps later, we're back into P10 of this Japanese Grand Prix there. I'm rather happy, you know, we have stuck at it at this stage of the race there. Rossi retires from the Grand Prix, and now the question was, could we close up the gap to Catalogical by the end of the race there? We haven't seen him all Grand Prix after lap 1. But every lap we were taking, you know, sort of a good 1.5, 2 seconds out of him. So 5 laps to go. The gap down to 6 seconds here. And you can see, just a couple of laps further on, we were really, really closing in on Catalogical here. Unfortunately, though, lap 24, we do pick up a 3-second time penalty, but I'm not going to give up on it just yet in this Grand Prix there. If we could get ahead of him on the road, I would probably be rather happy with that as well here. And you can see now with 2 laps to go, the gap down to just 1.5 seconds between myself and the AlphaTauri here. So my aim was just try and close up to him. You can see we've saved a tiny bit of battery. Still got about a third left in the charge as well here. So my sort of aim at this stage of the Grand Prix was get close to him, make sure he drained his battery when we had the DRS there, and try and go for a move late on in this Grand Prix there. Of course, see if we could force an error out of him as well. You know, perhaps that could work a little bit better for us. Groundsy up the road as well. If he makes a mistake, we could still finish ahead of him in this race. Goes to show just how much better the mediums have been in the second half of this GP there. But, oh, just taking a bit too much curb through the second Degner as well, though, as we try to close up the gap to Catalogical, now under 1 second. So we are going to get some DRS on him as we head back down in towards turn 1 here, towards the final lap of the Grand Prix there. Just using a splash of the overtake mode just to make sure we stick close there, just to make sure he knows we are definitely going to try and go for a move on towards the final lap of this race there. Can we try and get a run out of Spoon here as we head now down in towards 130R there, just being a little bit braver, taking a bit more curb on the entry and the exits of a couple of corners here, but we're not going to drain any battery at the moment there. You can see Catalogical, the gap just going up ever so slightly, so he is clearly trying to use a little bit of battery to keep us at bay here as we head now down in towards the Casio Triangle to finish off lap 26 of 27 here. You can see how much we're gaining though in towards the braking zones here at the final corner. Again, we're not going to use any battery there, but hopefully going to watch Catalogical use some here. As you can see, he's going to try and go defensive in towards turn 1 there. We're just going to use the DRS, try and close up a little bit that way. You can see now he's trying to harvest energy as we head back down towards turn 1 there, but Catalogical runs over the curbs, so we are going to move up into P9 of the Grand Prix here with just 1 lap to go of this racer, and it wasn't quite the dramatics that I wanted to see late on here. My plan was really just to drain the entire battery out of Spoon and go for something down in towards the final chicane of the Grand Prix there, but we're certainly not complaining. Now it means we can really just drain the battery over the course of the lap there to try and build up a best gap as we possibly can there to make sure that Catalogical doesn't get close enough to go for anything once more there, because you've got half a battery charge as we're halfway around the final lap of this Grand Prix there, so we are just going to drain it absolutely everywhere on this final lap there. But yeah, good recovery drive though. Again, just makes me wonder what we could have had we not made that mistake late on in this Grand Prix there. It is Limpjet though in the AlphaTauri who picks up the race victory there after we overtook his teammate on the final lap of the Grand Prix there. It's the Alpine in P2 there, the McLaren I think of Alex Dagu, who came right from the very back after that last safety car to finish in P3 there, so definitely felt, you know, a good result could have been on there. Sam 95 F1 is currently setting fastest lap of the Grand Prix there on a 129.4, so we might be able to get close to that on the final lap of this GP there as we head down in towards the final couple of corners. 12th and 9th at the end of the day is certainly still a good result nonetheless there, and as we come across the line, it is going to be a decent recovery there, and we've survived Japan. which is always a pretty good sign at the end of an F1 2021 league race. As while that definitely felt like we could have had more, there is unfortunately a bit of a timing glitch as well there. Obviously, Catalogical does finish ahead of us. So it is P10 at the end of the Japanese Grand Prix. They're our first point on the board at the end of the opening race of the year as well there, as we watch AMG Chris come across the line. Actually, sorry, now for Romeo, not even a Ferrari in this Grand Prix there. And having a look at your podium finishes there. There's Limpjet once again. AlphaTauri, you don't see them celebrating race victories too often in Formula 1 as well. That's always interesting to see on the league racing podiums as well. But the champagne gets sprayed for him as well. Obviously, the race winner here on round 2 of the season. Unfortunately, there is going to be no footage from race 3. I wasn't feeling too well, so obviously I decided to sit that one out as well. So yeah, a little bit gutted that I couldn't get back in. But of course, highlights from round 4 will be live in a couple of weeks' time as well. But like we said, it is Limpjet who takes home the race victory there. WOR Peanut in P2 ahead of Alex Stegu there. Liam in P4 ahead of Sam. Deer Hunter, TLR, our teammate there, means it is a Haas double points finish with Gramsey finishing between us. Catalogical rounds out the points there with Chris and AVS Fan in 11th and 12th there. Levy had some disconnection issues, but does come through for P13. And then Rossi, of course, not making it through to the checkered flag as well there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, we'll be back very, very soon with more league racing content.